Hello, Janitors and all beautiful beings of the World Wide Web. As I Cantraption back with something a little bit different. So, for those of you who probably don't know, I play some World of Warcraft and I do mask solo runs for the Nightmare Visions, and I do runs with all 5 masks. And it's been requested politely by a guildie to kind of show how I do that and what the process to that is, and I thought, hey, I'll just make a video out of it and see what kind of response it gets, because I don't usually do this sort of thing for YouTube. So, few things, just to kind of get started, is I don't generally, I'm not sure if I do this exactly the same way as everybody else. I will say that at this point, I am probably pretty well geared for, you know, for this kind of content, but I was doing this at about, I want to say cloak level 13 and probably like closer to like, I want to say 460 item level. So it is possible. The other thing to kind of take note of for me is when I got up to doing 5 masks, I did have a fully upgraded memento, the machine, and you know, just kind of, especially when you're starting out, give yourself whatever buffs and things you can really get your hands on. So if you got flasks and whatnot, potions, all that good stuff, just make sure you have it. I did not buy a horrific vision. I need to buy one.
We meet again, champion.
So, yeah, I'll show off a couple of things. Right now I'm farming for the mount, so we'll do some mailbox locations and stuff like that as well. Just kind of show off as best we can. Now, I've never personally used the sanity-inducing foods. If for whatever reason you do have you know, the opportunity for such things, then yeah, by all means, give yourself whatever bonuses you can. I personally don't need it at this point in time, but yeah. So, for this one, I get to cheat a little bit. This is obviously in my Destro Warlock, so I get to bring out the blueberry for some of the more annoying bits. So this is very much going to be a caster run through. But yeah, so as far as masks go, usually a run will take you about half an hour. Maybe quicker if you have fewer masks. But right now, if I was to sort them in order of which to go with first, if you're building up your masked run, I would say probably the easiest ones to start with are the leaving behind a trail of poo, which I think is a burning path, I believe. Yeah, when you move to spawn zone. So burning path is probably one of the easier ones. Next, I would say probably dark imagination, because I think that's the one that spawns. Yeah, so dark imagination and Mask of the Burning Path are probably the easiest two to start with, and then afterwards I would say bumping up from there, you can go to you can either do the Daredevil or the Mask of Pain. It's kind of personal preference, and I always do the Long Night last if I'm doing a full 5, because obviously you want as much stuff as you can get your hands on. So yeah, I'll do my best to narrate this as we go. Generally, it's not exactly a polite environment for doing that sort of stuff, for narrating, but we'll do our best. I also, I probably do it maybe backwards to what some of the guides say, as I go right towards Rexar as opposed to left towards like the Shaman Quarter and stuff like that. If you're DPS, there is a mob that you can kill, that you can sometimes kill. It's not always a guarantee that it's there. But there's a mob that you can sometimes kill in the Shaman Quarters where the trolls are. That can give you a haste and movement speed buff. We'll see if she's there, but who knows? Maybe not. Otherwise, if you're more of like a tank person, there is here in the first zone, you can find Gammon over here, and he will give you more of a defensive booster. Also, because I have the immunity stuff, sometimes it's nice to just try out potions beforehand. It looks like red is bad this week, so we will not be drinking red potions. Or at least this run, rather. It changes this one's run. Yeah. So you're probably gonna... Ideally, I just take these guys out first. Just burn some stuffs. Try and get everything out of the way as quickly as possible. Same with Volaron. I'll usually get rid of those two in front of the main room first. It's just, I don't know, I guess convenient to me. Also, it's worth noting that this week the, I guess, affixes or the nightmare things are a little bit easier than usual. And in general, I find Orgrimmar to be easier as it doesn't have the mage district, the mage tower, which is hot carbo. So, first mailbox is here. It's a little bit disheveled. No mount. Boohoo. What else we got over here? We got a pink. Well, I know red's bad, so I might as well grab pink. See what I can do. Alright. We're gonna stream of consciousness this as well as we can. So red is bad. Pink is what? Is the sickness one, huh? Okay, so maybe it's a green-blue combo for red? I usually, when going for potions, I will try and get, you always want to figure out, like, what is your best one, the one that restores sanity. And I usually try and find the one that gives me the fire breath just for a little bit of DPS boost as well. As a melee character, you might be more inclined to do some of the more defensive ones, but I usually just don't bother. It just saves time on potions if I can get it kind of right fairly quickly. The tentacles in this place are probably one of the most annoying things to deal with. Generally, if you're ranged, you want to kind of... Either you or whatever pet you have that has aggro should be in melee range with that thing, because it will keep traveling and it just burns time. It's annoying. That is going backwards, which is fine by me. I do not mind at all. Okay. Please do not. Do not. Oh, God. This guy's annoying. Don't like this guy. Don't like this guy. Ah, fucking. Okay. So the funny thing about this is the Fire Leap actually kind of helps you in this situation. And it's not the worst. Having the buff that gives you 200 sanity on rares is kind of paramount to running this, so I would highly recommend. It's just nice to have all your solo upgrades in general if you can help it. Is that black? Alright. I could probably get black to work. If you notice, I've been killing the casters in these Eldritch dudes first. It's mostly just because the 4-second stun is awful, and if you can interrupt or just stun or daze, whatever you need, it's just advisable. I've had a couple runs end prematurely because of dumb. Alright, so looks like it's probably green-red? So we got green is fire breath, so it should be blue is sanity. Gotcha, okay. Alright, let's just walk around things. That's not what I wanted to do, but okay. I'll grab this, and then I might as well get my next sick one while I'm here, just because I don't want to get suddenly sick and dazed in an unfortunate situation. Okay. So, as you've probably noticed at this point, when you have like a high cloak and all that, your sanity doesn't actually drain that fast. It's a little bit rougher in when you don't have as high of a resistance. And I'm totally fucking up this tentacle, which is not ideal. Probably because I'm gonna bounce fucking over it again. Okay, just hit me. Please don't run away. I'm standing in bed. Alright. So at the lower points, you're really going to want to calculate the ideal point to use this. Your heal sanity heal And I would say that one of the best things you can do is try and get yourself in front of like a in front of a fight or an encounter beforehand. Make sure you're not in combat, because you can't use it in combat. But just make sure that you can put it up, and then you can actually kill things while you're standing in it. And so it proves itself even better, as opposed to you just being kind of off in a corner waiting for your sanity to go up. You can actually use that time for other things. Okay. Please, can I do this? Okay, thank you.
More blocked off buildings. Check the leatherworking and
Nothing else
engineering
here.
workshops. Careful around.
Oh, I might as well, because I probably have the time. Just pop in here. Sometimes there's a chest in here.
This
No.
isn't good.
The other place it can be is... oh, here, which I haven't actually opened yet. That's good thing I checked. Alright, what do we got? Anything in here? No. Okay, that's sadness. Alright. Oh, but there is this. Oh boy, I'm all messed up. Okay. So generally, the walking on the path stuff, it doesn't stack very like heavily with the Daredevil stuff. I don't know that it actually is affected by Daredevil. So you're usually fine. It's not as big a deal as one might presume it is. And then this one, it's a little bit annoying to dodge, but usually if you have the fire step, you can actually use that to your advantage. It's one of the only ones that, like, it can mess you up in your accuracy of movement, but it can also help you just with avoiding certain pitfalls. Anything over there? Yeah, we got chest. Give me that chest. Alright. Moving on. No potions. So here's the next
Should be
mailbox.
safe now, champion. Remain wary. Thrall's forces are everywhere.
Some more of that. I read on Wowhead that someone got this on their second try, and I was like, oh, cool. Great for you. I'm on attempt, like, 27 or something. Sometimes in these little nooks there can be potions. And so I just try and do, like, optimum camera view to notice where they are. It's just a helpful thing. Alright. With Misha, it's pretty simple. You just don't stand in the acid stuff. I probably should have explained some of those rares prior, but I'm just kind of doing everything all at once. Mostly it's just avoid everything, pop bubbles. You can almost guarantee that that's going to be the orientation of things. It's avoid everything, pop bubbles. The previous boss spews out some, I guess, shadow bolts. And so to avoid that or get knocked up, and when you have not the Daredevil, but the paths one, you will basically, it'll act as if you are standing in the bad, if you're knocked up in the air, which is annoying. And just making sure you have enough burst, save your burst to pop his bubbles. Generally, you're just gonna wanna use burst damage from most rares, usually the bosses. Well, pretty much all bosses you want to use it, with the exception of maybe one. Yeah. Oof, ow, what the fuck? Why are you hitting me so hard? Woodwalker, do your job. I don't like when you don't do your job. Okay, so we're gonna blow up. Grab this. So it's important, especially if you're going to do the mask that does 2 effects on you, that you kind of check ahead of time. I just know them from this week, but just kind of like be aware of what you're going to be dealing with as best you can, so that you don't have to deal with it. So under the bridge, you can find another one of those little shardy things. It can be useful. Being in the water does not help with fears or avoiding them. Oh yes, and then you can't see when you're in bad. Alright, so I'll grab another one of that. Usually once you get about 3 of a potion, with the exception of the sandy ones, you're pretty much set for your run. These mobs are kind of annoying, so I would recommend that you kill the flying ones first, as they do have a nasty poison that can stun you, and nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Everybody Everyone agrees. 10 out of 10 doctors agree that that is bad and you should not like it. Okay, good. Now, I'm gonna swap out my Void Walker because he's getting really beat up. Okay, so next one is right here outside the auction house. Sometimes you go in, there's also a shard that you can find for the trader. So that's a bonus. Still no mount, eh? Alright. It would be nice if it just so happened that this was the run that I got my mount on, but sadly not. Alright. Oh boy, dodging things. Alright, see, generally I don't use my 2 to 3 minute cooldowns on this guy because I want to save them for Rexar, because Rexar is more or less the mage quarters of this place. Now, I personally just kind of burst DPS him and ignore most things while trying to throw out 1 or 2 stuns to the boars if I can help it. But otherwise, it's usually just kind of, you know, just do what you do what you can. Yeah, I pretty much just ignore all other threats, burn Rexar, try and leave as quickly as possible. Okay, got another blue one around here? That'd be nice. Be very nice if I could get another blue one. Be maxed out for Rexar. So with Rexar, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. In earlier fights with him, I would usually at this point be running out of sanity, so I'd usually pop one of my sanity restoration orbs as I'm fighting him, like right before I fight him, basically, and just try and run it. Use the orb to kind of like give myself a bit of a buffer, and then go from there. Nowadays, I can usually manage it just brute force, and I just make sure that I have my self-revive up just in case, because Rexar is like the one thing that I don't like. Ooh, there's another blue. That'll help me immensely. Thank you. I will take that. What is that? Is that black? Okay, that's fine. Okay, sometimes there's ones like hiding up back here. Yeah, but that's... Actually, I'll grab that. Why not? 400, that should be enough. Should be. Watch me biff it horribly. I don't really have like a... This is the best spot to be sort of trick. I just kind of go, hey, everything's awful. Let's try and deal with this and not get feared. Yeah. So they're gonna charge you. I just kind of put myself in the corner so I don't have to deal with a lot of the excess BS if I can help it. And then you just burn. You just burn because he's gonna get worse. The longer it goes, the boars get worse. Everything gets worse. He starts to throw more things at you. Everything gets increasingly awful, and I'm about to get feared. Oh boy. So. Yeah, that was ugly. It was awful. I did not die, and I did not lose my stuffs, but there you go. I almost died. Jesus. Pop defensive. That's the other thing. I did not pop defensives. Just go all out on Rexar. Yeah. You want to grab this back because everything else is an awful experience. I'm kind of surprised I didn't actually die there, but... Alright, so we're going to do that. We're going to reset. Your pet will reset on that trip, so it's just a little bit annoying. But we'll see. Maybe if I can grab a potion, I shouldn't need to use anything before the next rare. Ow. So generally, I try and kill the shaman first, just so I can try and avoid the irritation of the pole totem. Some other people might have different preferences, but just for me, usually it's kill the caster. Kill the caster is usually the first thing on my mind in most of these mobs. Yeah. No blue potions, huh? That's annoying. I might be able to get this, I might not. We'll see. Purple? No. Oh, blue. There we go. So I'll do it. Okay.
Champions, we've been needing your help.
Yeah. If you can help it, I usually just stay on one side of the beans without fighting the mobs, just because there's less sanity drain in the lower areas. It's just a nicer thing. Also, advisable not to have high corruption. I have eyeball. I think at one point I had eyeball and the shade that follows you. Not advisable to have shade that follows you. It is unpleasant. Being punched isn't a huge deal, but avoiding this guy's second ability afterwards is... oh, right. This one, I would also say you can pop some cooldowns on. You will have enough time, generally, between other mobs to reset yourself, and it's not as big of a deal. Alright. So, we do not go into the next area. We actually move on. We ignore that. We move on to the next area. It just saves us a little bit of time because Zelkin, the shaman, spends a little bit of time chitter-chatting, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. You're gonna talk and move down a wall. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Okay. Any blue? No? Okay. So, since we're waiting for our cooldowns to come back, just pull like an extra couple of mobs. You can basically kill everything but one mob to get your percentage. I will usually skip this mob over here with the 2 tentacles just because tentacles are annoying for me to deal with. Others might skip, like the ones down here or something like that. It depends. Personal preference, really. Whatever is best for your class. Oh, I'm gonna get feared again. Or not. Okay. Thank you very much. So, usually I just poke in here and try and do the best that I can. Please go away. More tentacles. Alright, cool. Man, I didn't really realize there was this much to cover, honestly. I just kind of do, so I'm not really thinking about the don'ts. Alright, so for this guy, it's a little bit annoying, honestly. It's actually a little bit annoying. This guy, he's got a shout interrupt that you want to avoid if you can. Also, my pet has ignored him somehow, and I don't know why. Okay, that's annoying. Why is my pet not taunting for me? Please taunt. Okay, so this guy, as you just saw, he does a toss that drains quite a fair bit of sanity, and it's rather annoying. This one you can actually also probably use cooldowns on. I did not because I'm talking, but you can definitely burn some cooldowns. The only way I've found to avoid his throw is to just be out of melee range of him. So if your blueberry does its job, or your tanking pet, whatever it is, hopefully it should not be an issue. But yeah, your next mailbox is here. We are not getting pet today again, at least, or not pet. I think. What is this? Is this actually? It does actually. Oh, so if you want to grab something from the guild bank, say you forgot some stuffs, you can do that. You can grab it right there. Oh, everyone. Nice. That might save him a bit. Then. Did I just leave one? Oh, she's off fighting. I thought it was odd that I was not being attacked by this dude. Okay. It's worth mentioning that the ones that spawn don't get the health buff, so it tends to be easier to deal with them in general. These guys, usually what I try and do is I will go like, okay, I fucked it up. Try and kill one and then just stun the other out of their thing. I didn't have my 2-prong DPS up, so I was a little bit fluffy on it. For me, I just Death Bolt I tend to have that. It's on cooldown, so I can't, but he's about to die, so it's fine. Most enemies don't have a lot of abilities to actually drain their sanity, per se. It's mainly just rares. No, there's also a potion back here, so I usually just pull back this direction to see if there's a potion I want or need. There was not. We have enough to clear this. So once you get geared, as you'll probably notice, I have not even used an orb yet. So it's not too difficult, but in earlier stages, you're probably going to want to be on... This will be at the point where you want to use your second orb. So I'll use one here, as an example. And then I will pull immediately, so that while this thing is up, I am doing DPS. You can still take sanity drain, so you know you don't want to stand in the bad if you can help it. But even though I got hit, I'm still at full because I was taking regeneration from this guy. Now this guy, you actually want to check on his bar. You can't avoid his shit if you have the slowing ability. If you move after he's finished casting, like when the puddles show up. So you do want to like preemptively do it by looking at his cast bar and then moving as he's casting. And that's kind of the one surefire way I can tell you to avoid his spits, because his spit does a lot and it's annoying. Okay. I can't say that I know all the locations for the crystals in all these places, but there are a couple. Hopefully, if it's so interesting to you, you're taking notes about where those are. For this guy, generally, I like to sit right up on him, so I can avoid his bad. If you're right up in close proximity, you do not get hit by the orbs. So you just kind of run around him in a circle. And it's pleasant. Kind of. It's pleasant in that there's many things trying to kill you and stuff, but just kind of like give yourself a top-down view. Avoid as best you can. Camera angles are important. I guess it's worth mentioning, I personally don't run any add-ons. There may be add-ons to do this, but this is just a very clean-cut kind of thing. So. Alright, this way is now clear for us. They did all their dialogue stuff, so we don't have to worry about that. But we leap into battle anyways. The Tormentors, I believe, tend to do more damage than anything else in here, just with their AoE ability, so I tend to try and do that. The leap is annoying here, and you will overshoot almost all of your jumps, so just kind of be aware of it. Sometimes it's just hard to properly eke out your distances or when it will trigger. There are potions kind of spread out in some of the huts and things, as well as chests, and sometimes in the top of the huts there are also crystals. So it's just something that you can keep note of if you're so interested. Okay, please die. Leap. Alright, if someone could stop sending me emails, that'd be fantastic. Oh my god. Okay. Now she's not here, but normally they would be a mob here. Which would be one of the trolls. I forget her name. But if you kill her, especially as a DPS, you get a 10% movement increase and a 10% haste increase, I want to say. Which is pretty handy. And if you're finding you need a little bit boost, it might be best for you to go left instead of right first. And get that for yourself. But you can't count on it because it's not always there. In Stormwind, it is in the banking district. If you go into the back of the banks where the vaults are, there is sometimes a gold elemental back there, and if you kill it, it gives you a crit increase chance. Okay. That. So these two up here, you can generally just skip. Sometimes, if you're at a high enough gear score, you might question whether or not skipping is like worth the time saved. But there are potions around the back that you can grab. So, in my opinion, you can just go around, avoid things as best you can. Unnecessary fights you generally just kind of ignore unless there's like maybe a potion or something on the other side that you really need. Any potions I want back here? Not really. Okay. Please stop jumping me and getting me stuck. So if you go back around here, sometimes there's some potions or a crystal. Yep. Oh my god, please stop that. I just want to grab things. Some crystals, sometimes there's some potions like here. So it's kind of worth just going around because sometimes you can get yourself an extra 100 sanity. This guy, generally don't have a lot of trouble with him. I don't pop cooldowns because usually I'm on thrall faster than my cooldowns reset because I'm just going from boss to boss as opposed to a break with things. So this one, generally I kind of like sit back here in this little hallway. I find I have an easier time of avoiding things and then just be ever so cognizant of your leap. Because it can actually get you out of trouble, or it can send you into it, and that's just great fun. Last box is here.
But how can we ever be trusting the voices of the elements again?
Nope. Alright, well, we tried. I wish I could have tiled this 5 mask run plus mount, but sadly not. But we got to show off. I think sometimes there's one in here. A crystal, I believe. Or a potion. It is not, so there is none. Alright, so we've avoided the stuff. We've grabbed a fair few crystals, actually, surprisingly. Nothing hiding over there. Okay, moving on. So now that you've murdered everything, and you've proven that you are super, you can spend your free time, if you have it, and run back over here and turn in your shards. I think generally it's advised that you want to have at least, I want to say like 400 sanity when you're fighting Thrall, just in case, depending on the difficulty and how quickly you're draining sanity. Alright, here we go. So, I will usually just come to this corner, and I will pop this for myself. Just benefit to myself. Kill the boars first. Nobody likes them. The boars are awful. Now, Thrall's going to do a stomp thing, so you can't stand for too long. But you can kind of take care of things. Alright. So Thrall does a lot of abilities. He does his stomp. He does his circle, which you basically just have to move around the room. Generally, you want to be on the outside of the room, I find is the easiest. Hopelessness is a pain in the ass, but you just deal. Make sure you are avoiding defiled ground, and try and make it so that he's not cutting the room too heavily in half. This one, honestly, you might not always get. I sometimes get it, but usually I just take it. It's not a lot of sanity drain, and you just kind of have to deal. This one is harder when you have the draining of time and speed. That can be annoying because sometimes you'll be moving a little slower than you would like to be with Thrall smacking at you, but it's usually fine if you're just kind of anticipating. So yeah, middle kind of center of the room so you can avoid things. I think eventually his puddles go away, but usually you should be able to either walk over them or just avoid it well enough that you should still have a decent amount of floor space. My Blueberry is doing a surprisingly good job of tanking right now. Usually he's on me, so I guess there's that. Alright. Sick. And that's the 5-mask run for the Destro Warlock. I'm not sure if I've missed anything. If I have, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know if there are any questions that you have, any advice that you want. Perhaps leave recommendations for other classes, like melee classes, as I've mainly just run this on a caster Warlock. But yeah, them's the things. So that's that. Anyways, I hope this was helpful to you guys. If it was, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. If there are other advice videos that you want for WoW, as I've never really done this before, let me know, and I'll certainly consider it, take a look at what people want. And yeah. Anyways, thanks everybody. I hope this was helpful. And I'll see all of you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.
On the 7th day of Wargmas, my warboss gave to me 7 goblin riders, 6 spiders scraggling, 5 snotling screams, 4 elfits hanging, 3 gorbok shamans, 2 body choppers,